I was just way too busy. I was hurrying all the time, and I just continued to really be craving a slower lifestyle. Now, there absolutely were some things that I needed to do differently to be able to make this happen, to be able to create the space in my life, to be able to do the things and slow down. But those are the things that most people talk about, is like how you create that space. And what I've really come to realize are that before I could actually slow down, there were actually 3 mindset shifts that needed to come first. So the first one is, I focus on the long view. And I'm kind of writing these like an affirmation. Let me explain what I mean by this. So I think many of us get far too caught up in the societal expectations of what constitutes a good day. We start to measure our days in terms of what we've accomplished and how much we got done. And when this happens, we begin to really miss the mark on what is really important in our lives, particularly when you zoom out to assess your life from the perspective of a full lifetime. I think a very useful question to ask yourself is, at the end of your life, which will be more important to me? To be able to say, I accomplished so much in this lifetime. Or, wow, I really enjoyed this life. Now, I think that we all want some elements of both, but for a really long time, I know I tipped the balance from my own life through daily actions towards really getting things done. And it really took a heavy toll on my health and on my relationships. Ironically, the 2 things that I value the most. But these days, however, I have managed to flip it into the opposite direction through slow living. Now, I may not get as much done in a day as I used to get done, but honestly, I'm okay with that. I'm healthier, I'm happier, and my time is really aligned with what truly is important and what really matters to me. So if you had asked me years ago what I valued, maybe 10 years ago what I valued most, I would have still told you that it was my health and my family. But knowing that, it still didn't give me the resolve that I needed to make the changes that I needed to put these things first in my life. I had to really think about what I wanted for my lifetime as a whole. And the more I started thinking about that, the more I realized that I just couldn't keep putting these things off, couldn't keep putting off, taking care of myself or spending time with people, because we never know how long we've got. So I want to take a quick minute, though, to just point out that I do realize that many people don't have the luxury of getting to choose how much time you work and that type of thing. And there was a good part of my life where I didn't have the luxury of that either. And it was challenging. It was really hard. But there may come a day in your own lifetime when you're able to just step back and ask yourself, what do I really value for this lifetime? What do I really want? And how do I want to spend my days? And am I spending them in a way that aligns with what I value? And hopefully maybe that day comes, if it hasn't already, sooner than later for you. And I think it's good to think about too, like, what do I really need to live comfortably? What's enough? To be successful at slow living, you probably have to remind yourself of what you really want for your lifetime more than once or twice. I mean, I'm a couple years into my own version, if you want to call it that, of slow living, and I still have to remind myself of this from time to time. Probably because I was so used to being on this productivity wheel that my brain would automatically default to measuring my time in terms of accomplishments instead of enjoyment. And this brings me to the second mindset secret of slow living, which is loving life takes priority. What if at the end of the day, instead of asking yourself, how much did I accomplish or how much did I get done today, you started to ask yourself instead, how much did I enjoy this day? When you change your focus in this way, you begin to be okay with doing things a little differently. You begin to allow yourself more moments to simply stop and soak in the enjoyment of whatever it is you're doing. And honestly, you feel less guilty. I know I do when I don't get everything marked off my to-do list, or when I, realize that I'm not going to get everything marked off to my to-do list for the day. I mean, you really just start allowing yourself to love living more. Okay, so let's talk about the last one. Lately, I've noticed that I keep hearing the same thing from a lot of people that I coach, as well as just people who express an interest in slow living to me. And this same theme keeps coming up again and again, where people keep telling me that they are waiting for things to slow down in their life. They talk about things like waiting for a project to end at work, or waiting for these kids to graduate, or waiting till they're able to retire. There's just a whole long list of things that it seems like people are waiting for and waiting to get through before life slows down for them, or before it slows down enough to do things like people talk about waiting to slow down until they're going to get healthy again and start working out again. Or they'll talk about waiting for life to slow down to start doing something that they really enjoy, or to take a trip, or to do something fun. And really it all boils down to this. Most people expect that life is going to slow down at some point in the future, and then they'll be able to start enjoying life more. And here's the thing though, from what I've come to see, life doesn't magically slow down someday in the future. It just doesn't happen that way. It seems that there's really never going to be a time where life slows down enough for you, unless maybe, I don't know, for some people, like maybe you're forced to slow down because you have, a health issue, or, for some people it's things like getting laid off from the job. And of course, nobody wants to have to quickly and unexpectedly change their lifestyle for things like this. But if you're wanting to start slowing down, the reality is that when one project ends, another's always going to take its place. And for most people, when their kids start to leave the nest, they slowly begin signing up to do other things in their life to occupy their time. Or perhaps you may be so used to having a full schedule that when you get ready to retire, miraculously, your schedule still stays full because you've done things like offer to watch the grandchildren in the afternoons, and maybe you sign up during the week to do some volunteering, and then on the other days you're checking in on your parents, or maybe it's a friend that needs some extra support. And all these things accumulate, and you remain comfortably in that cycle that you're used to, waiting for life to slow down. So mindset secret number 3 is that you have to stop waiting for life to slow down. Life doesn't slow down, I do. That's our 3 mindset secrets here. You have to physically and mentally create space in your life to live more slowly and to do all the things that you want to do. You literally have to set aside a good block of time for creating a new, slower lifestyle for yourself. I see two main causes of life magically filling up, if you will. First is because most people typically are overly optimistic about how much time they will have in the future. I mean, most people think you're going to be less busy, so they agree to do things in the future that if you ask them to do it today, they probably wouldn't agree to do it today because they know they're too busy. The other thing that I frequently see happening is that people have orchestrated a good deal of complexity in their life, as well as over the years accumulated quite a bit of stuff that requires a lot of time to maintain, and so simplicity is really needed. And if you want to have a slower lifestyle, you have to make time for creating more simplicity, which brings us back to this number one: I focus on the long view, because you really need to have that inner drive and know why you're doing this to actually carve out that time for yourself. Otherwise, you just won't do it. It has to be really important to you to set aside a big chunk of time to brainstorm and figure out how you are going to make life more simple, how you are going to clean out the clutter, the digital clutter, the physical clutter, and all that type of thing. It has to be, you have to have a why and a reason that is important enough for you to set aside the time to do that. So if you've been struggling to slow down yourself or simply wanting to, I do hope that you have found these mindset shifts to be helpful, help you think about them. And if you feel like you still need a little extra guidance, I do have a 6-week program that is devoted to helping you address everything that's needed to slow down your life. We focus on 3 main steps over the 6-week period. And the first one, we get clarity on your values, your purpose, and what your vision of your next chapter of your life is. And then secondly, we ensure that your belief system, all your beliefs, support the lifestyle that you want. And then finally, I teach you my smart living methodology so that you have the habits, the routines, and a host of other tools to support you in making a slower and more intentional lifestyle sustainable for the long run. If this sounds like something that might be of interest to you, there is a link in the description to this video that you can go ahead and book a 30-minute call with me so we can just chat about whether we would be a good fit to work together on something like this. I want to thank you so much for watching here today. It really means the world to me to be able to share what I find helpful in my own life in hopes that others might as well. And so I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you sharing with friends and family as well. I guess that's all for today, and bye till next time.